Hello neighbors, and welcome to Basic Bluegrass Mandolin. We're going to be learning from the very ground up, so thank you for joining me here. It's going to be a nice journey, and let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to learn are the names of the strings. Alright, so the big one, which is closest to you, the top string, this one, is the G string. G string, G string, G. The next one down, the second fattest one, is the D string. D string, that's the D string right there, D string. So you have the G, D. Alright, the next one is the A string. A string, right here is the A string. Alright, and then the top one, the little one, is the E string. E string, that's the E right there. Alright, so once again we got G, D, A, and E. Alright? So this is like the first stage of learning to play the mandolin, and it's going to take you about 5 to 10 hours. Okay? And you really got to put that work in, and you might call it grunt work. Okay, but this is just the beginning, so you want to make sure you get it just right, and make sure you practice all this stuff real hard. And the way to use the video is I'll teach you something, and then you stop the video. You stop the video and then you learn it, okay? And then when you got it real good, you keep going, okay? So pretty simple. So don't try to take it all in one fell swoop, because it's not gonna happen. You gotta stop and work on it. Put the grunt work in. 5 to 10 hours is this course, okay? All right, so now let's talk about the pick, okie dokie. So the way that I hold the pick is kind of like an extension of this first section of your finger here. See how it bends there? So you can kind of, I'm going to put the pick on the other side so you can just see. So, but it kind of goes like on that section of your finger. Now it's going to go behind the finger. Okay. All right, so it's like, you got the tip, a little tip, just a little bit, not too much. And then the way that your thumb kind of comes over it, it's almost at a right angle. Okay? So pick, finger, thumb, just a little bit sticking out, okay? Just like that. So it's kind of like it becomes the last little extension of your finger there. Your good old digit, okay? So now you're gonna wanna kind of feel into this area of your hand here, and the way that I kind of put it over the bridge, it just kind of rests on this part of the bridge right here, okay? So there are different places you can play on the mandolin to get different tone. It's going to sound a little thinner, closer to the bridge. This is the bridge. All right, so right here. A little thinner sound, and it's a little fatter down here. So you want to experiment just a little bit and find the sweet spot on your mandolin. Generally, I kind of play a lot of times, right about here. Okay? So it's a little bit farther than halfway from the bridge to where the neck really starts. All right, so right in there. Okay, now let's talk about tuning the mandolin. A lot of y'all will have little electronic tuners, you strap onto the peg head here. It's the peg head, this is the nut, these are the frets, this is the bridge, this is the tailpiece, this is the mandolin, these are the F holes. You probably all know that. These are the tuners. Okay. So you got your little tuner strapped on there. I don't have one right here, but you probably do. And that's good. And then now that you know the names of the strings, G, D, A, E, then you turn your little tuner on, and then you play your string. Okay, so let's just say this first one's gonna be real wonky. It's way up here, it's like, oh, okay, so you look at it and you try to get it centered in the middle of the tuner. Okay, and some of them will light up, different colors, just depending on which one you got. And so you just play your string, and you can do them one at a time, so they're in pairs, right? Okay. So you just kind of like, you look at the tuner, and then you get it like, right in the middle there. So the other thing to keep in mind in this little section of the game is to tune the strings in pairs. And the way that I often do it a lot of times is I'll come underneath the pitch. And so here's the deal. So you hear how there's a there are little beads, little beats in between the tones of the strings. And so if you come up from underneath and you just make little slight adjustments pulling it up, eventually the beads will stop and they'll both be in tune. Okay, so you do that with each of the strings, the G, the D. So for example, if my second D string was a little bit flat, then you just make little adjustments, tuning it up. Until it sounds just the same as the other one. If you go too far, then you just pull it back down. Each of the pairs of strings. Okay. Alright, now the next thing that we're going to learn is the major G scale, okay? And we're going to be playing these with all downstrokes. The downstroke is mean you're picking the string down, like that, okay? And you probably know this scale, you probably know what it sounds like. It goes do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, so here's how we do it. The first note is the open G string. So that's the big fat one, okay? The second note is your first finger on the second fret of the G string. You play that with a downstroke. The next note is the fourth fret with your middle finger. Next is the fifth fret with your ring finger. So let's just do that much, okay? So open, second, fourth, fifth. Okay? Now continuing up the scale, it's the open D string. Open D, then your first finger on the second fret of the D string. Next one is the fourth fret of the D with your middle finger, and then your ring finger on the fifth fret of the D. Okay, so now this might be hurting because you haven't developed your calluses yet. And so you got to press down real hard. Ouch, 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 ouch. It might hurt for a while, but you got to build up those calluses and it's going to stop hurting so much. It's a little bit painful to learn to play the mandolin, but it's okay because it's a beautiful endeavor. Okay? So now as you'll see, the frets on the G string that you play, 2, 4, 5, are the same ones you play on the D string. Open D, 2, 4, 5. Alright, so the whole scale alright, so let's play that together. 1, 2, ready, go. Open, second, fourth, fifth. Open, second, fourth, fifth. Alright, let's do that again. Ready, go. Open, second, fourth, fifth. Open, second, fourth, fifth. Alright, so that is one octave of the major G scale. What is an octave? Okay, so there are 8 notes in the scale, in the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the 8th note is this G right here. It's the same note as the bottom string. G, G, and that is an octave, okay? So you don't really need to worry about the names of the notes because that's not really that important right now. What you want to do, get in your mind, is how it sounds, because this whole course is about learning to play by ear. So get that sound in your head. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You don't even really need to know about the names of the syllables, just day, 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 day. Alright, so let's look at the second octave of this scale. Alright, so it's starting on the last note where we left off, the 5th fret of the D. That one right there. Okay, so here's what the rest of this scale sounds like. Alright, so let's look at those notes, okay? So it starts on the 5th fret of the D. The next note is the open A. Next is the 2nd fret of the A with your first finger. And the 3rd fret with your middle finger. 5th fret with your ring finger. Open E, 2nd fret with your first finger, then the 3rd fret with your middle finger. Alright, so here it is one more time.